your well-being, just to connect with the crafts.
Yes, I love it. It's bright, it's beautiful. It reminds me of where I stay, and I keep all my precious little things into it. So everything that's important to me goes in that.
And isn't that a nice tool to have? Like even little things can have so much significance in our well-being.
Absolutely. I completely agree. We sometimes overlook the significance of little things, and we leave them lying around, or we forget where we've kept them. And then when we find them, we feel that they were so important, or they take you back to some moment. And I think they're very important.
I think that's something everyone has been doing now with the lockdown. They've been looking at whether it's going through a delayed spring cleaning or going through old photo albums. I think we're all finding things that we really cherish that were just
Absolutely.
somewhere there. Like I found a group of my artwork, like maybe 20, 30, 40, I don't know, so many paintings from the last 10 years that I had just completely forgotten about, just, stored. So I think it's really important to be aware and be present and really look within and find even within our houses.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've been tidying up as well, and it's interesting because I found notes from sessions that I had attended in 2008, 2009, and in my head I'm wondering, wow, where you keep things away thinking you're going to need them. Sometimes you don't, and sometimes you come across them at a time when you least expect it, but then they serve a purpose.
Amazing. Yes, it's great you mentioned that. Like I was just looking at the books that I put out for, every few weeks I get a few books that I want to go through. And the 2012 books have made a big return. So
Uh-huh.
it's like, whatever we had learned in that time was kind of preparing us for now.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you yourself are an author. I think you also have a new book coming up. But
I
first,
have a
we
new
talk about
I have a
Smile.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I do have a new book coming up. I am aiming to complete it hold it in my hand at least by the 21st of August, 2020, if all goes well. And yes, it's about my smile strategy, and I'm in the process of putting it together at the moment.
Nice. Are you thinking of going digital with everything going on?
I will have one of the chapters, or maybe include a workbook that people can download so that they understand what the book will be about and how it can serve them. Because at the end of the day, the book is largely a means or a tool for me to put my smile strategy out there. So I'm going to have a booklet or a worksheet, like a format, so that people can download and still understand the essence of the book. That would be put up on my website. Yes, that part of it would be digital, but I'm old school. I love holding the smell of freshly printed books is just just magical, I guess. And then to
Uh,
have
I,
your name on it
I
would make it
completely
even more.
understand. Like to have it in
Yeah,
your hand, to feel it, to go through it, it's just amazing.
yeah,
And I love
yeah.
that you're creating strategies. Um, let's talk about Smile first.
Okay. So 2016, I had done a TEDx talk. I called it The Art of Possibility because I was kind of fed up of people constantly complaining about life, and blaming every other person on the world, on earth, except for themselves, for their situation. So I said, okay, let's do a TEDx talk on the art of possibility. And that's when I came up with the SMILE acronym. I say that you move from feeling stuck to unstuck using gratitude and acceptance. Acceptance comes when you smile, and S stands for silence the mind, manage your attention, identify the intention, let things go, and energize the possibilities. So I've been doing mindset training workshops foundationed on this strategy in different parts of the world, and every time I present, I learn something new about it. So it's quite an interesting tool to be using.
And when it comes to your own personal journey, like we spoke a bit earlier about converting sorrows or difficulties and using them as areas of opportunities, or not opportunities as in you have to create something now out of it, but to see the gift in it.
Hmm.
Airbnb started a whole online series of things that you can do, like activities, just as when you were traveling. And they had a few of their Olympic um, Olympists, I guess, participate and teach some of their strategies too on goal settings. And there was this lady who was saying she won the gold medal for swimming, I think, and she mentioned that I I make sure that I smile literally every day, even if it means putting a pencil and just making sure that that smile is in there, because being positive has given me so many more rewards in my life than a frown. So I make it like the first thing that I have to check off my list. But can you tell us more about your way of thinking?
Okay. So what I say is when you smile, you kind of short circuit your mind. You confuse your the neurons in your head, and you confuse your system by saying, okay, on the outside things look really bad, but she's still smiling. So what's that all about? You tend to create a sense of curiosity in your mind in terms of what's going on, what's the good that's happening, if you're doing a pseudo smile and it's just there for the sake of it. But as you wear that smile, it begins to become a part of you. It begins to, your body and your mind begins to look for evidence that things are fine, so that I feel is very powerful with in terms of the smile. And the tool that I have as a mindset tool is also quite powerful, because the first step itself is silence the mind, where you're when you're in a challenging situation where it could be a loss, it could be a lockdown, it could be a fight you've had with somebody very close to you, something at work, the first thoughts that come in your mind aren't very pleasant. And to be able to just silence them and then think, and just not think anything for that moment, just silencing everything out, and then moving forward with attention and intention and letting things go, it's quite powerful that way. For me personally, I did the TEDx. I had begun doing the workshops, and then 2017 happened, when my children left the nest, when I lost my father, and everything just happened in one shot. And I had to kind of I had to take some time off from what I was doing as a trainer and a coach, and just give myself that time to heal and then resume doing what I was meant to do. So I think where some of us go wrong is we rush into wanting to get back into action. So I think letting yourself have that room or that space to just be, to just absorb what has just happened to you, come to a space of acceptance, maybe awareness of how it's making you feel, and then turning it around is how I think it works better, instead of just pushing yourself and forcing yourself to do something that really doesn't sit well with you in your heart, in your gut or mind.
Amazing. And from 2017 to now, 2020, it's another challenge, a different kind of experience. Maybe you are adding new tools or learning new tools, or what do you think is something that you can add to that toolbox given the circumstances?
What I'm adding to my toolbox is a space of resilience and gratitude. So the new acronym that I came up with would be GROW, which is gratitude, resilience, ownership, and wisdom. So when you're in a space of gratitude, when you're being resilient, when you're taking ownership, and when you're just being wise in the choices that you're making, I think that's when we tend to grow, because ownership for me is very powerful. You know, when it comes to even the challenges, owning them and just looking them in the eye and saying, okay, what are you here to teach me? I'm open to receive. Tell me, what can I learn from you? What's the good on this? Instead of getting into panic mode, let's get into possibility mode. You know, yeah, that's how I see it.
And the W?
Is wisdom, is being wise, making wise decisions, wise choices, um, not being in a rush, I think, to push yourself, or being silly and scared about certain things. Just being wise in what choices you're making.
Beautiful. I love the new acronyms, and I love the way you have with words. I think I told you this earlier. It's
Yeah,
so beautiful how you bring it all together, and there's a lot of eloquence and also authenticity in the way you express it.
thank you.
And truthfully, when you find something that works for you and you then come out and present that to the world and teach it, I think that's the best gift you can give. We mentioned on our COVID talks, we have today, later on, we have Hero. He's a theta healer. He created a few classes, and we're going to be doing a lot of gratitude talks. We have mentioned resilience kind of in different contexts, and we spoke about wisdom. So I think ownership, maybe if you can tell us some tips about ownership, because that's also
Okay.
one of my favorites, taking responsibility, owning it
Yeah,
instead of blaming
owning it.
other people. Can you tell us more
Absolutely.
about that? How can people step into ownership?
Ownership comes again from a space of, um, how would I put this? Taking and accepting both the good and the bad. Some of us also have fear of failure. Fear of failure is like a common thing, but what about fear of success? You know, some of us feel concerned about, when I succeed, what's going to happen? Will I lose what used to be common and natural to me? You know, just finding that room to grow. Ownership is also about, if you've done something good, own it. If you've done something bad, also own it. You know, it's not just about just the good things, and you'll step forward into the limelight to take ownership for the good things that you've done. That's easy. But what about the mistakes? Having that heart to say sorry when you've done someone wrong, having that heart to let go of failures that you might have had, and not considering them as your labels, because a person can have a failure, but they are not a failure. These are two different things. So owning who you are completely with your flaws is what I think ownership is.
Beautiful. And with a lot of courage, but also at the same time, a lot of self-compassion and self-love.
Yes. Yep.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Ruqaya. This was so
Thank
great
you.
and lovely to see you and connect with you again.
Thank you.
Can't wait
Thank
to
you.
get the new book in my
Uh-huh.
hands physically, since
Yes, absolutely.
that's
Will do.
the recommendation,
Yes, yes, absolutely.
and to work with the strategies.
Thank you, Mariam,
Every
for having me
new
on board.
era requires new tools, and I think it's people like you who show up and step up to bring the tools uh, and put them out there. I really am grateful for everyone who's doing that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mariam. Your work is amazing, and I've always loved collaborating, and thank you for having me on board. Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
See you around.
Bye.
Bye-bye.